Hey, Shagheads, Curtis Tucker here with another episode of a Shaggy Life podcast. Actually, I guess, Happy New Year. This is, the first episode of 2025. So welcome to the show. Of course, the plan would be to try to do more podcast episodes this new year, but got a late start because we went to California at the beginning of the year and got behind on everything and just didn't get a lot of stuff done that I needed to. So basically, if you guys are watching me on YouTube, you can see me waving at you. I appreciate you checking on the podcast there. Please subscribe to the channel, especially if you are following me over on TikTok or something. If TikTok goes away, I'll probably be doing a lot more video on YouTube and Instagram. So be sure and check me out there. If you guys are just listening to the podcast on your favorite podcasting app, don't forget to subscribe there as well. Then you get updated when I do come out with new episodes. If you're watching, I apologize for the reflection on my glasses, but all of my notes are right there in the computer in front of me. And just the way that I look at the computer, it kind of gives that glare on my glasses. So anyway, ignore that. And again, thanks for checking in. No big news at the moment that I can think of. Just wanting to get a bunch of stuff going this year. And I really have been doing a lot more vertical video. That was the whole point of getting on TikTok and trying to figure out TikTok and stories and reels and vertical video. Still not a super fan of vertical video. I guess it's great for TikTok and Instagram, not great for YouTube, not great for television, not great for, making movies, but short form video, I guess it's okay. So anyway, I'm getting more used to that. If you are not following me on TikTok, I am the Curtis Tucker over on TikTok. I do a video every morning where I try to show you guys the sunrise from Enid, Oklahoma while I'm out on the trail. So you guys check that out. And I don't know how much longer it's going to be there. We've only got like a week left, and then we'll find out whether TikTok is eventually going to fade away. I don't think it's going to go away overnight. It will, if it's banned, it will slowly die a slow death. But that'll give it time that somebody could come up with something to save it. But anyway, we'll see what's going on. So this episode we are calling "What's It Like to Be Over 60?" And I turned 62 years old in December. So basically that gives me 2 years into my 60s. And so I jotted down a whole bunch of notes 2 days after my 62nd birthday. And like I say, just because of being out of state and some stuff, I didn't get the episode recorded, but I've got some notes here that I'm going to go over. And then I also noticed that on Google and Quora and some things like that, there are a lot of people, that are maybe in their 30s and 40s, and they're wondering, what is it like to be in your 60s? And so, basically if you're younger, if you're in your 20s, 30s, and you're wondering, this will give you kind of a few insights into what it's like for me to be over 60 and slowly getting into my middle 60s. But so first thing I got to say is I'm not going to be your typical 60-year-old, not your typical 62-year-old. I have been blessed with good health. I am on no medications. And a lot of the reason of that is because I do run 7 miles every morning. I do some weightlifting. I do some calisthenics and stretching and things like that. So I do keep myself in shape. I am not overweight. I have never been overweight. I do not smoke. I don't drink on a regular basis. I mean, if we go out and party, I'll drink then. I don't smoke. I don't take drugs. And so I don't drink soda pop anymore. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm probably a lot healthier at 62 than a lot of other 62-year-olds. So basically, a lot of the things that I'm going to be telling you, the things that I can do, or my health, you have to take that into account. So if you're 40 years old and you're not taking care of yourself, and let's say you're 30 pounds overweight, and your knees are bad and you can't do it, you're going to have a different experience at 62 years old than I am. So basically, what you're going to get from me is if you're in pretty good health, this is kind of what it's like to be 62 years old. And then there's some things that aren't even related to health and physical fitness and all that. So just wanted you guys to know that for number one, because that does make a difference. So, and I do, so being 62, I do have lot of relatives, a lot of friends that have already passed away. And then I do have a lot of friends that are physically not doing too well. I do know people that are on like multiple medications, and it's not always physical, because they're not physically fit. Some of it is heredity and diseases. Again, I've been blessed with no diseases. Just one disease, one cancer, one weird something, could change everything drastically. So I'm going to knock on wood that none of that happens, that I stay away from all that stuff. But okay, so here is my list, kind of a list, but these are talking points just to kind of give me an idea of what to tell you guys about being over 60 years old. Let's see. I finally realized that I'm in an older age bracket, and younger people now consider me old. So, I remember when I was young, in my teens and 20s, I thought of people at 60 and older as being old. 62-year-olds were old when I was younger, but now I'm realizing that younger people do consider me old. And I'm not probably, going to be the young guy in the room very often anymore, unless I, go to the Senior Citizen Center or something like that, and everybody there is, 70 through 90 years old. But, most of the places that I go, I am no longer going to be the young guy ever. If I were to make Survivor, or if I were to, do anything like that, I'm always from now on going to be considered the old guy. So I've kind of come to grips with that, which is kind of weird. But I can tell you that even though I realize that people consider me age-wise kind of the old guy, I don't feel like the old guy, and hopefully I don't act too much like the old guy. So another one of the things that I've noticed is the music that I grew up with, and I consider my favorite music that I grew up with is the music from the 70s. I think I even like even more now than I did in the 70s. And it's kind of interesting that being over 60, a lot of the songs from the 70s are kind of making a comeback. They're being used in movies and just redone by a lot of people, which is kind of interesting. And really the only new songs that I do like alternative music, but there's not a whole lot of songs that I would put on my favorite list. It just seems like it's mostly taken up with older songs, but I do like songs from movies and things like that, because then I associate the song with something other than just hearing it like on the radio or something. It's kind of interesting that now, like on TikTok, I've noticed there are like videos of young people. And when I say young people, I'm talking like 20, 30-year-old people that are listening to Boston or somebody like that for the first time. And so somebody is videoing them and getting their reaction to what does hearing Boston for the first time sound like. And these people are like, wow, this music is great. So that's kind of cool, is knowing that our music from the 70s is still popular and can still be liked by younger people. Movies that I loved when I was a kid and watched in the 70s and maybe even the early 80s. Some of them are a little hard to watch, especially the 70s movies, I guess, and a lot of it has to do with sound quality and just video quality. Some of them don't fit in the big screen of the television, so they're like little square, and just the audio and color just isn't that good. So that's kind of weird being over 60 is seeing movies that you remember as a kid not producing as well now as they did back then. But, even some of the storylines are still pretty good. Some of the movies are okay, but then there are some of them. And it's interesting that a lot of our favorite actors that were in a lot of our favorite movies have now passed away. And I mean, it's a monthly deal now. At the age of 60, you're seeing your celebrity heroes in music and television passing away every month. There's 2 or 3 almost every month now. So that's kind of weird, is seeing, the entire casts of sitcoms or the entire cast of a movie that you were a big fan of. It's kind of weird seeing the whole cast passing away, or just, being super, super old. Fewer and fewer friends have living parents. Of course, my wife and I have lost all of our parents, and I think I've got one really, really close best friend who he's the only one that has a living parent. His mom is still alive, but all of my close friends, all of their parents have passed away. And so that's one thing that you're going to notice as when you get into your 60s is there's not as many parents, and definitely very, very few grandparents still around from all of your friends. And now physically, again, I said that I am in shape because I put in a lot of work to try to stay in shape. But I am noticing that I can get weird little aches and pains really quick. Like out on the trail, my knee might seem to go out and then it'll hurt for like 2 days. Now, luckily, it just goes away on its own. I don't really have to do much. I've had knees, I've had the bottom of my feet, I've had different little pains, aches and pains come and go. And I mean, they appear really easy, but luckily, I think just because I stay in shape, they tend to go away pretty quick. But you will start to notice that as you get over 60. Now, it's nothing major. I mean, if you're in decent shape, if you fall down, you're going to be able to get up. You should be able to run a little bit. They say almost like some weird stat, like 80 or 90% of most people will never sprint after the age of 30 or something, which is, I guess, when you think about it, is true. But, while I'm out on the trail, a lot of times I will kind of sprint. So, I'm not one of those, I guess. But because of, taking care of myself and being physically fit, again, I am on no prescriptions, no medication. So that's pretty cool. Saves me a lot of money. And also then you don't get into the weird side effects, and then you're taking a second drug because of side effects of the first drug and blah, 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 blah. So I will try to keep away from prescriptions as long as I can. So 62 years old, knock on wood, still don't have any at this point. And so let's see. So one weird thing that I have noticed, to get a little bit personal, is the cold weather makes me have to go to the restroom a lot more than I remember. So getting out on the trail, if it's really cold, sometimes I'm about to bust by the time I get back. So I have noticed that urinating in cold weather. Now in the summer, I don't really ever notice it. So I don't know what that has to do with, but I have had my prostate test and everything is fine. So it's not anything to do with that. let's see. Where let's see. So memory is a big one. I don't have like the onset of dementia or anything weird like that, but you can forget things like in a split second. Like literally, I can be looking at the computer, know that I'm going over to the search bar in Google to search for something. I get an email. I click on the email real quick and I notice that it's spam, so I'm not going to read it. And then I've completely forgotten what I was going to search for on Google. That happens quite a bit. And then I don't know, maybe 60% of the time for one reason or another, I remember. Possibly 40% of the time I never remember, but I do, and then if you're really, really, really trying to think of somebody's name or the name of a song or something, if I'm thinking too hard, I can't come up with a name. And then if I relax and I'm not really trying, then all of a sudden it pops into my head. So, but I am noticing that, memory wise, after 60, it takes a little more effort to remember. But I remember a ton of stuff. And if I learn something new now, I can remember it. So it's just kind of maybe some of that weird long-term memory things that, we just forget every now and then. I'm not really somebody that forgets like where I lay my keys down. I never lose my keys. So I'm not a person that loses anything or forgets where I put anything, but I do know that it seems like there are people as they get older that kind of start to forget where they put things. Um, let's see, sleeping. There for a while in my 40s and 50s where, I work from home. And so I like to try to get a lot done. I was staying up till, basically 1 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., and only getting 4 hours of sleep sometimes, and just hated going to sleep. Just didn't see the benefit in it. But I am noticing now that I'm over 60, I do really enjoy going to sleep. I try now to force myself to be in bed as close to midnight as I can. That gives me 6 hours of sleep every night because I get up right before 6 to go run on the trail. But I am enjoying sleep, and one of the reasons I think that I enjoy, and so I go to sleep immediately. There's rarely a night when I just lay there and can't go to sleep. So as soon as I do go to bed, I do fall asleep immediately. And one of the cool things, for some reason, now is I remember my dreams when I wake up. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm usually in the middle of a dream when my alarm goes off and I remember it immediately. And so it's kind of cool waking up with all these cool dreams, which has been kind of fun. So I don't really remember that happening that much. Seems like there was periods where I didn't remember dreams for weeks and weeks, but now I literally remember every dream every day, every morning, which is kind of cool. I don't know what's causing that, but who knows? I don't pretty much don't eat like I ate when I was younger. Buffets were always pretty cool, and getting 2 hamburgers instead of one, and supersize and fries and all that was kind of a no big deal. But so do tend to eat less now. So I'm 62. I think I'm right around 5'11", maybe just under 5'11". I weigh 160 pounds, and I try to eat 2,400 calories a day, which is basically 1,200 at lunch, 1,200 at dinner. Don't really eat breakfast unless it's around the holidays. I try to not snack at all. So that snacking's what kills you. So anyway, eating has changed a little bit. And then, some of the foods I didn't, I like granola now. I like granola bars. I like fruit. I like cereals. So some of the food that I like has changed. I could probably go forever without eating French fries or, but whereas, it seems like when I was younger, I felt like I needed French fries every day. So eating habits have changed a little bit. I think about life more. I think about death more. So it's kind of there because now, when you're 60, unless you're living, most of us don't live to be 120. So if you're 60, you are over the halfway mark, and so and then your parents are gone. And so you do start thinking about life and death a little bit more. You take it a little more seriously. You do. At 60, I do understand that, I am going to pass away, hopefully, I'm shooting for 102, but could be in my 80s or 90s. A lot of people that I know are passing away in their 80s. And so I think hopefully without, any weird disease or illness, I should make it to my 90s pretty easy. I'm thinking, and then as long as I'm healthy and able to do what I want to in my 90s, I will continue on. I don't want to be bedridden in my 80s or 90s and then live a long time without being able to do anything. So, but you start to think about things like that when you get over 60. So that is something that has changed. I've kind of started to realize that I know more than I think I do. When you reach 60, over 60 years old, you kind of know a lot about a lot of things. You've got some experience under your belt. And so, when you're telling younger people about relationships or businesses or other people, you kind of know what you're talking about because of patterns. By 60, you've seen, certain people always do certain things, people that are in certain groups. And so after that many years, you kind of start to recognize behavior and patterns. And so I think I know more than I think I do. And I've also noticed with my work that I know quite a bit more than I probably thought that I did. I just, I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, let's see. I know how to handle situations without even thinking most of the time. And so, yeah, so, if there's an emergency or, something goes wrong, I don't get stressed. I don't make a big deal out of it. It's kind of like things like that roll off my shoulder because, I know at this age how to handle most things, and things are going to pass, and no matter how bad things get, it's always going to get better, and things are going to go in cycles and up and down, and presidents are going to get elected and not elected, and all that good stuff. So you start to learn to not let those things affect you, because they really don't affect you as much as people think they do. Let's see. It's really weird running into kids it's really weird running into kids who you knew when they were little kids and now they're grown adults. So that is a little bit weird. So over 60, like if you have kids, their friends that maybe you haven't seen in a while, that all of a sudden you see 5 or 10 years later and they're adults, that's a little shocking and a little weird to see all the younger kids. And it's not so weird with your own kids because you see them every day and every year, and they grow up so slow you don't notice the big change. But friends that may have moved away or you haven't seen in a while, when they show up and they look completely different, like real adults, when you see them, that's kind of wild. So music was one of those things that as a kid, we hear our parents saying that their parents didn't like their music. And so you kind of tell yourself, well, when I get old, I'm not going to not like the new music, and and all that. But even though I swore that I would never be an older person that hated the new music, there is a lot of new music that I hate. and I can't stand. So, as much as you want to try to like all music, there just are some genres that older people are just not going to like. And I don't know. I can't say that I wouldn't like some of the music had it come out when I was young because I don't know. So I'm not. I'm not going to say that I did. Now I do like. There is, like I said, there is new music that I like. I like a lot of alternative music. I still like rock and roll. New music that comes out, rock and roll. And then different songs from movies just because I associate it with movies and stuff like that. I do enjoy classical music and jazz way more than I used to. Growing up, I didn't like it at all. Being over 60, I really enjoy jazz music. Would love to hang out at a jazz bar more often. And classical music, especially like used in the background of movies. Really love that stuff. So that's really changed. Let's see, I've outlived a bunch of my classmates. It's almost been 45 years since I graduated from high school. I did graduate in 1981, and I've seen a lot of classmates die due to accidents, suicides, health issues. Some of them have been murdered, whole bunch of different things. But my thinking of my 50-year high school reunion coming up is really weird, and that will be kind of wild. So I don't feel like I have to work as hard for a paycheck. Yeah, I mean, once you get to a certain level, I don't know, things seem to get easier. Maybe there's not as much stress on making money and buying a house and having all these things. By 60, you've already got the house and you've had the cars or the things. And so I don't know, it just doesn't seem like there's as much pressure to have money or make money as there was when I was younger. So that's kind of a cool thing to look forward to. Just be sure that you're not in, super debt by the time you reach 60, and that you do have some assets and some investments, and your credit cards aren't killing you and all that, and you'll do just fine. So being 62, I am at the bottom end of being able to retire. So I could retire this year if I wanted to. And of course, if you don't know how Social Security works, they deduct like 30% of your Social Security payments if you take it early. And I think if you wait till 67, you get 100%. But if you wait till 70, you get even more. So there's about I think there's about between $1,000 and $1,200 a month difference between me taking Social Security now and taking it when I'm 70. And that's $1,000 a month for the rest of my life. So I'm going to wait and probably. And then another thing about Social Security is if you do take Social Security, you can only earn a certain amount of money. And then once you earn above that, they start deducting your Social Security. So if you're still planning on making money, then there's no sense in taking Social Security because you're just going to be losing it. So I do plan on working probably forever. I'll always be doing something to make money, even if it's just painting or writing or blogging or whatever. So we'll see. I become closer to my oldest friends. Yeah. So if I've got my best friend from 6th grade, my best friend from 9th grade, my best friend from 10th grade. We're still best friends, still do a lot of stuff. At this age, at over 60, they're not really just your friends anymore. They're kind of your family because we have lost our parents, and then our kids have gotten married and moved away. And so you'll find out that your really, really close best friends actually are kind of your family once you get over 60. So that's been kind of interesting. I buy stuff and collect stuff that I like, especially stuff from the 70s. So you'll find out as you get 60 and above, you're going to probably start to want to collect the stuff that you liked or had when you were, in your teens and 20s, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I do have a lot of 70s stuff. I am collecting a lot of that stuff, which is kind of interesting. But the one thing that you got to remember is your kids are probably not going to want jack squat of any of it. So even though you think you're collecting the coolest, neatest stuff in the whole world, man, your kids are just going to want to sell it at a garage sale or toss it out, you know. But make sure that if you're collecting stuff like comic books or I don't know, different things that could have some value, make sure your kids know that the things that do have value and to not just chunk them or sell them at a garage sale, but to get some money out of them. So I've never wanted to dress like an old guy. And fortunately for me, I've stuck with wearing shorts and Converse sneakers. And, you know, I kind of keep up with the styles a little bit, but because I dress so casual, hopefully I don't look like an old guy. I mean, I don't wear old guy pants and old guy shoes and wear old guy coats. So that is one thing that I have not done is turned into a 60-year-old dresser. Trying to avoid that at all costs. Now, you know, that doesn't mean that I wear my jeans down around my knees so you can see my underwear and I walk like a duck. Not going to do that. But I'm not going to be wearing, you know, coveralls and suspenders and stuff like that for quite a while. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I will wear shorts, hopefully, you know, up until the day I die with my Converse on. So at 62, I do miss my mom. I can't say my parents because I never really knew my dad, but it is kind of weird. You do start to realize that your parents are gone, that you're never going to have another conversation with them again. So if you are 60, if you're 50, 40, 50, 60, and your parents are still alive, do as much as you can with them as often as you can because, you know, even several years before they pass away, they're not going to be the same parent that they were, you know, if they have dementia or if they're physically unable to get up or, you know, they're going to start to not want to go places. They're not going to want to go eat. They're not going to want to go travel. So, I know it's with busy schedules and maybe not living in the same town. It is, you know, it's easy for me to say, go spend a whole bunch of time with your parents. But I promise you, you'll wish you had when they're gone. So that's a weird thing about being over 60 is there's no, you know, for me, there's no generation above to get advice from, to bail you out if you're financially strapped, to help you if you lose your home. You know, we're the top generation now, and so that's been kind of weird. Let's see, marriage in my 60s has been a blast. Yeah, so that is one thing that I've noticed that Denise and I are actually having a lot more fun probably than we did. So we've been married 26 years. I would say probably the last 6 years of maybe the first 5 years were super fun, and the last 6 years were super fun. Everything else in the middle was good. It just, I don't think it was as fun. You know, we were stressed with being tired from working and raising kids, and we were always having to follow the kids to school events and blah, 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 and not being able to travel as much. But now that the kids are older and they're off at college, we've spent the last several years following their football games and just doing a lot more stuff on our own. So that's been fun. So if you're married, don't think that being married and over 60 means that marriage is going to go downhill, because if anything, your marriage should get better because you're going to have a little more freedom, a little more money to spend. You're going to be able to travel more. So look forward to that. That'll be fun. I am okay. So I already talked about retire. You know, being over 60, like I said, I'm trying to get on Survivor. I'm still being an extra in movies. anything that comes along. I'm still trying to go on ventures. We just last year chased another solar eclipse. So at 60 years old, I'm not slowing down. I'm still wanting to do exciting, fun things. And so I have a big ass calendar on my wall, and we're going to do a big Disney trip in May. And so I try to try to always keep something in the future to look forward to. We've got the eclipse coming up that's going to go over Enid, like years and years, 24 years away or something. But that's just another thing to look forward to. So as you get over 60, continue to have something to look forward to, some event, some get together you're going to have with your friends, on a yearly basis or something. Just always continue to have something to look forward to. The older you get, the faster time flies. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, these weeks just fly by. When I was younger, it seemed like days, days were slow. No, days were fast, but the years were slow, and now it's the opposite or something like that. But yeah, it just, time just seems to be flying. Yeah, I look at, something that's happened and I think, well, that was just, 3 months ago, and it was like 18 months ago. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like I'm losing track of time because it's going so fast. So that is one thing that definitely 100% is true. As the older you get, the faster time flies, and it is cruising. So beware of that. So always, try to squeeze as much as you can into every day. And maybe that'll slow things down. I don't know. Great thing about being an entrepreneur and working for myself is I can reinvent myself. Yeah. So, unfortunately, for a lot of people, they're stuck in one job and they have to do that their whole life until they retire. Cool thing about being an entrepreneur is I've gotten to do different things. I can still do different things. So being 62, I don't feel like I'm ready to stop working. I've got about 3 ideas that I want to start businesses. So even today at 62, I'm still wanting to start new businesses. So there's no stopping there. But I'm able to do that because I am an entrepreneur. And if you worked for somebody for 40 years and your retirement age, well, now you're going to have a ton of free time. Do not sit in a chair and watch TV all day. Keep moving, keep working, keep thinking, keep learning, find a new job, find a hobby, turn a hobby into a job, but keep doing stuff. I still don't know the meaning of life, even at 62. I don't know when you ever figure out the meaning of life. I don't think I have or ever will. So that's one thing that you don't really figure out. We're just here. We don't know exactly why. You do kind of wonder what's going to happen, in the end. What, are you going to be around spiritually somehow? We don't know. Being 62 does not feel like 62. Again, I just feel like, I doubt I felt much different at 42 than I do today at 62. And I'm actually, I think, I've kind of worked out and done aerobics my entire adult life. But I think I definitely am running more now at 62 than I ever have. 7 miles every morning. I get 16,000 steps in every morning. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now, but I never ran that much. I did, a lot of treadmill and elliptical, but I don't think I ever did that much. So I'm actually probably more physically active now than I was. And I guess I'll start to wrap this up. Let's see. 62 is kind of what you make it to be. If you're a happy, positive person, then being in your 60s is probably going to be happy and positive. If you are a Debbie Downer, and everything is miserable and you're always complaining, then you are probably going to be a miserable 60-year-old. So I am always happy. I am always looking on the positive. So even today at 62, I don't really see a downside. I don't know that I've ever been depressed in my entire life. And again, I don't fault people that are depressed because of heredity and chemical imbalances. I just am blessed to not ever have had that. Now, I've been sad different times in my life, but I don't think I've ever been depressed. And so, again, I'm pretty blessed with that. But I do, again, I do exercise. I do try to find things that are happy and fun to do. I do believe that I'm lucky. I do believe that I'm blessed. I do believe that things that I manifest will come true. And so, because I believe that, that stuff happens. And I think the more that you believe in it, the more that it happens. So anyway, there's kind of an insight into an old guy that's over 60 that definitely doesn't think he's an old guy. You guys, if you guys have some questions, if you're younger, I would love to give you a little bit of advice. Again, a couple of the quick things of being over 60 that I wish I had done and had now. I wish I had bought real estate. I wish I had a building or two, a house or two. Just wish I had invested more in real estate. It's one of those things that almost always goes up in value. It's something that at a later age you can sell, and you're always going to get your money back or more money back in. I wish I had invested a little more. So money wise, I probably wasn't super smart, but was able to work for myself for about the past 25 years, and most of that I've worked from home. And so even though I don't have a retirement and huge investments, I wouldn't trade it for the freedom and the happiness that I had and the ability to being able to stay home and watch my girls the entire time they were in school. So, but anyway, that's a little bit that I would, stay out of debt if you were under 60. You want to go into your 60s out of debt, with as much investment and property ownership as you can. And then again, if you're young, if you don't ever start smoking, you're never going to have to quit. If you don't ever start taking drugs, you're not ever going to have to quit. If you don't let yourself get 40 pounds overweight, you're never going to have to lose weight. So there's different things that you need to, think about when you're younger, in your 20s, 30s, 40s. If you don't want to be fighting those things and trying to get out of them in your 60s, don't start them. And so even though I'm blessed and I'm healthy, a lot of that is choices. I chose not to smoke and not to drink and not to take drugs and not to overeat. And I chose to exercise, and I choose to wake up and be happy every day and look on the bright side. So a lot of it is choices. I know there are some things that are beyond our control, but I do know people that are, physically handicapped that are pretty happy. And just kind of, it's all on how you think about it. So anyway, you guys let me know if you guys are over 60 years old and you're listening to this or watching this. Let me know what I've missed, and I can add it to the blog post. This will be a blog post on curtistucker.com. Don't forget to go there and read some of my old blog posts. But yeah, so if you're over 60 years old, let me know some advice or, some things that this isn't really so much advice as what's it like to be over 60 years old. So I hope I've kind of given you an idea. Again, I think it's going to be a lot different. My answers might be a lot different at 68, but I know they'll be a lot different at 72. So, of course, so look for a follow-up episode. What's it like to be over 70? When I turn 72, I will do that episode. And then, of course, at 82 and 92. And so just continue to follow my blog. I will continue on. I know blogs and websites aren't the thing at this point, but continue to check in. If you guys are watching on YouTube, again, please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting app, leave me a review just to say hi. You don't even have to say whether you like the show or not. If you're under 60, hit me up with some questions. You can hit me up at curtis@curtistucker.com or shags@shaggyduck.com. I do have an announcement coming up about Shags and what I'm going to be doing with that brand later in the year. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys so much for checking in. I promise to try to get a lot more episodes done this year, even if they're short and sweet. But appreciate you guys. We will talk to you soon. See ya.